What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Shut Up and Let Me Take Your Picture, the podcast where we talk about pretty much everything, but mostly photography stuff. I am joined by the lovely co-host Max and Jared. How are you guys? How you guys doing?
Fantastic. How are you, Dan?
I'm good. I'm good. It's been a busy week, lots of events. You guys have anything fun or crazy that happened this week?
Did an engagement
Um,
shoot.
I went to. Oh, you guys have been downtown Plymouth before, right?
Yes.
You know those. You know the Mayflower building where the Starbucks is at and everything, and the Panera. It's like dead center of downtown Plymouth. It's like
I
all
don't
the
think.
shopping spaces. Anyways,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
the condos above it.
yeah.
I actually went in one for doing an engagement session. They're free, dude. It's like a $3 million condo, guys.
Is
Like,
it really?
dude, there's like a freaking bottom floor, a terrace up top. Like, it's wild. I'll have to show you, but that's what I did. For like 2 hours, I went there. It was kind of crazy, and they're like, "Oh yeah, this is our like, this isn't even our main house. This isn't where we live."
Oh, this isn't even the main. Yeah.
Just our condo, it's
Yeah,
whatever. It's fine.
I'm like, all right, guys, whatever.
Max, you do anything exciting this week?
I did an engagement shoot as well. That one went pretty smoothly. I was just on campus and at the Arboretum.
Cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
Where all did you go in the Arboretum?
We actually ended up getting there kind of late because I wanted to shoot sunset golden hour, and they were like, "Hey, we're kicking you guys all out at 8 p.m." So we just walked around like the main courtyard area, like real quick. We didn't even go inside. And then like the lady at the end was like, "Hey, by the way, usually they charge you to take photos here." And I was like, "Whoa,
In the Arboretum?
yeah,
That is weird, and that is
all
very
right,
good to know because I am supposed to shoot a quinceanera photo shoot uh, in the Arboretum as well.
yeah,
Or,
like the
well,
yeah,
no, the Botanical Gardens, I think, is
yeah,
where I'll be
Nichols,
shooting it.
the one on Dixon, and
Two questions.
What's up?
One, how do I search the zombie? And two, how do I move? I'm stuck.
Oh,
an admin
oh, I
disabled
think
my movement.
I did that. My bad.
Press F to look at loot things.
There you go. There you go. All right. Well, that's a good moment to mention today's podcast. Since we've decided that we're gonna do this podcast in as many different locations and doing as many things as we possibly can while we're having this podcast. Today, we are playing video games while we have this podcast. So we're playing a game called Dead Poly, which is zombie survival game. It is Max's and Jarrett's very first time playing this game. I have played it a few times. It's very chill. It's very exciting, which leads me kind of into gaming has become like a big hobby for me. So as far as hobbies go, like what are your guys' hobbies? Like what do you enjoy doing in your free time?
I mean, I haven't really been doing much of anything other than playing video games lately. So I'm just too tired to do anything else. Oh, I play VR, so it's kind of like video games but different.
I might even
Well,
say video games, but better.
Oh yes, but better. I mean, there's like so many like people not playing VR that it's like really like I feel like it's so new.
it's weird because I feel like yes, it is new, but it also like it hit a peak and now I feel like it's coming back down. I don't know. I never see a lot of people on VR anymore.
I mean, I spend like most of my evenings playing because it's like working out in addition to
Mhm.
you know, in addition to playing video games. So it's kind of like exercise, but video games.
Video game exercise.
Because most of the games I play are very physically active.
What are some of the games that you play that are physically active?
So I play Beat Saber and then I play a game called Echo, which is like frisbee and football mixed together, but in zero gravity. So
Okay.
like in order to get
Cool.
around, you have to like push out your like character off of things, and like it's like a team sport, so it's like 4v4.
You know what that game reminds me of? Like when I first played it. Did either of you guys ever watch the movie Ender's Game?
Yeah, that's what a lot of people say. It's very much like.
Oh, I don't think so. What about you, Max? What are some of your hobbies that you like to do on the side?
Funny that you bring up that you use VR for exercise, Jarrett, because I play a lot of baseball, and I actually and along with my video gaming, which is another big hobby of mine, I play a baseball video game. So my
Nice.
mom has like expressed to me like, "Hey, you play baseball and you get exercise playing baseball. Why would you play this baseball video game where you don't get to actually play baseball and you don't get to exercise?" And then I told her, "Hey, why don't you buy me a VR headset and I'll play it in VR and I'll actually move around." And I almost got her to buy me one, so that was really funny.
Nice.
She didn't go for it.
I guess the thing with that though, with that being said, is that like you don't always have time to go out and play
Yeah, and
baseball.
sometimes the weather's not the greatest, you know. So baseball's a big one. I actually play in the Ann Arbor Men's League. I used to do a lot of archery, and I'm starting to get back into it. And yeah, photography is a hobby.
Cool. Very
True.
cool. Very cool. How long have you been playing baseball for?
Since I was like 10 years old, it's the longest sport I've played, and archery being like the most competitive sport I've ever played. So yeah,
How far did you go in archery?
I ended up playing or doing archery up until like the state level.
That's
In high
crazy.
school, my high school team actually won like the provincial because I was Canadian, still am. But I was in Canada, so we won like the provincial high school tournament, which was a big deal because like there's always powerhouse teams that always would win it, and we won like kind of out of nowhere too.
Cool.
And then individually, I ended up training for a couple more years, and I wanted to end up getting onto the national team in Canada, and I got invited to like a training camp, and then they were like, "Hey, you're a bit too old." And then actually, like this kid who I like consider kind of like my protege, like kind of like the kid that I mentored, he got picked up. Like they
Oh
were more interested in
no.
him because we had the same skill level. Because everything he knew, I knew. Everything I knew, he knew, and we kind of coached each other. And they were interested in him because he was like 2 years younger than me. So they were like, "Hey, we could just go for the younger, newer, slimmer version." And so I never ended up going too much further. I ended up getting a gold medal in like an individual competition at the state games when the Michigan Hell hosted it back in 2017. So that's yeah, that was one of my biggest hobbies for a while. I've noticed though that a lot of archers also are photographers. I thought that was really interesting.
Side note, what about volleyball? You're still doing that?
Yes, volleyball is something I do. Yeah. Volleyball is something that I've always wanted to do, especially because I love the volleyball anime Haikyuu. So I picked that up while I was here in Michigan too, and I play. When I'm not playing baseball, I'm playing volleyball.
There's a nice little volleyball court right outside of my apartments. You know,
Oh, really?
we could it's really not nice, but I
We need
got a
more people.
volleyball, you know. Now
Then
we
we
can
need.
play with just the three of us. That's the next podcast is while
Yeah.
playing
Oh my
volleyball.
gosh. I feel like I feel like three is good, but at least four, right?
Well, no. It's me and Jarrett against Max because Max plays more volleyball, you know.
Oh, I have to be
Yeah.
able to touch it multiple times then.
Oh
Yeah.
well, of course, yeah.
Yeah.
Like we're not
Yeah.
going.
You can set it to yourself.
Yeah, that's fine. But can I
Yeah.
spike it too?
Yeah. You can set it to yourself and then spike it from that point.
Okay, perfect.
The funniest part is we probably could actually set that up. But while we're on the topic of hobbies, and since video games are one of you guys' hobbies and also mine, what's you guys' favorite video game? Can you narrow it down to favorite video game of all time?
Oh yeah, easy. I even mentioned it as we were doing the loading screen of this game. It's called it's a JMMO, or not MMO. It's just a JRPG, so like a Japanese RPG. I have an American copy, but it's a really old game for the PS1. It's
Nice.
called. So I actually started playing the game on the second game because I was at like EB Games at the time, and they had like PS1 games that they were getting rid of. Yo, this game at the time, like 15 years ago, was like $50. And it was a PS1 game. This is when the PS3 was out already. No, PS3 was coming out. So like $50 for a PS1 game. So I was like, that's crazy, but it looks cool. So I bought it and I just loved the gameplay and everything. And I bought the first one not too long ago, maybe a couple years ago.
Mm.
But like the prices have skyrocketed. The game I bought it for 150. It's a PS1 game.
I'm what?
Yeah, it's like a collectible at this point. It's like a collector's item.
Cool.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I like the second one more, but I think that's honestly based on nostalgia. But yeah, that would be my most favorite game of all time.
Wait, I'm sorry. Which game is it again?
Oh yeah, it's called Lunar.
Oh yeah. Because you thought you mentioned the music. I remember that. Yeah. What about you, Max? What is your favorite video game of all time?
Uh,
Can you narrow it down?
I think if it's of all time, I think I have to probably go with Minecraft. I've probably logged in the most hours on that game. I've probably logged the most time and effort onto that game. Yeah,
How many
but
hours would you say that you have into Minecraft?
maybe 10,000.
Really?
You know when they say it takes like 10,000 hours or something to become a master at something?
Yeah.
I'd like to say that I've become a master at Minecraft.
Are you a master Minecrafter?
Oh yeah. I
It's a
like
math.
I used to like be really like I wouldn't ever like do it in public, but I used to be very like humbly proud of like all the Minecraft knowledge I knew. I mean, I lost it all now, but like yeah, that game got me through the most, you know.
Nice. I was gonna say, if you remember any of those facts, what is a random Minecraft fact that nobody knows?
Ooh, see, I've lost most of them. I think one of the ones that like comes to my mind is like you want to dig your tunnels at a certain height because at that height lava doesn't naturally spawn. And then the height right below it is the height that now lava does spawn. So what you want to do is and diamonds spawn close to lava.
Yeah.
So what you want to do is you want to mine at that height because you can get the diamonds more likely and you won't run into lava. So
Cool.
that is if you're doing like strip mining, like you're just like mining in one direction and digging tunnels.
Nice. That's some good info. Some good insight into crafting in a mine.
Jared, have you ever played Minecraft?
Not at all. I have not
Not
played
at
it.
all.
No.
All right, next video game stream we're playing Minecraft.
Guys, I found a really cool spot, by the way, side note, that we should go into, but I think it's a multiple person adventure.
Where are you at? And it's also really freaking dark right now.
Yeah, I left, but it's like an apartment building.
Cool.
But like I've already fought like 8 freaking zombies.
Jeez.
And right now I'm under a street lamp, hoping to stay in here and just circle around.
Yeah, I'm like going from street lamp to street lamp. This is hectic.
It gets really, 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 really dark in this game. It's kind of wild.
At least there's
Guys,
stars.
If you guys get back to that bridge, I've found that starting bridge that we were on.
Yeah, I don't know where the F that is, but
Oh, I think I see it actually. As I run through the dark, I can't even see my character right now.
Oh, I'm gonna die. Oh no. I probably shouldn't say like too many games. Oh, is that my savior, my hero?
Yeah, it's me. I might die though.
I can't see. Come to light. Come to light. Come to light. I can't see. I don't want to hit you. Okay. Another one of the games I have too many that I would list out.
Yep.
Call of Duty Zombies. I also logged so many hours
which
from that game.
one?
From Black Ops 1.
I feel like
the best one though.
Yeah.
I feel like everything I like as a favorite is like really like offbeat. Like everybody's like, what? What is that? So like if I had to pick a second game that I really loved, it's called, I don't know how to pronounce it because it's another Japanese game, but Disgaea. Have you guys ever heard of it?
I think I've heard of that one.
So basically it's like a turn-based system, and basically what you do is almost like playing chess, but you have multiple characters and your characters will have a starting point and there's an end point and the enemies are at the end point, and throughout the map but you like turn based, like you have to turn based, like you like your character, like maybe one can only move 5 spaces at a time, and some can move like 10 spaces at a time, and then they take turns, like either you can attack or defend or use magic or heal,
Cool.
and then each person can like either like if they're two characters standing beside each other, then they can like do a combo attack. Kind of interesting game.
That sounds pretty fun. So would you say you like I guess it's do those even qualify as like indie games or not so much?
I don't think that was an indie game. I think because it has a huge budget and there's like more than one. Are you kidding me? I was inside my backpack and I couldn't fight.
Oh no.
I had so many good things too. Um, I wouldn't qualify it as an indie game now because it's got I think like 6 or 7 installations.
I'm gonna go with
Yeah, I was gonna say you didn't tell us yet.
that is true. That is true. Uh Uncharted, the entire series. I don't know if
The
you
the,
Man,
guys
To-
they
played
should have.
Uncharted.
the Tom Holland one or
Well, that's the movie. But yes, technically, yeah. Uncharted. I remember I rented the first game and the second game. I played like halfway through the first game, and after playing for like 10 hours, I was like, all right, all right, all right. I need to go to bed. I need to go to bed. But then I was so enthralled by the story that I went to like I wanted to know what happened in the second game.
so you couldn't have just YouTubed it. You had to play.
No, so I booted up my PlayStation 3 and I put in the second game. And so before finishing the first game, I was so excited about the second game because the first one had been so good that I played like a quarter of the second game as well.
Dude,
Amazing.
in one go.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Because I think I bought the first one and I was renting the second one. If I remember, I don't remember. But needless to say, it's one of my favorite video game series. I love the story, and all of the cutscenes are like watching a movie,
Mhm.
which is really cool. Because you could actually, they have it on YouTube where they put all of the clips together, like all of the cutscene clips, and it's actually like watching a movie. It's very cool, but it's like parkour treasure
So
hunting.
I really liked that game, but at the same time, I hated that it was on wheels, on rails. So I
Oh,
couldn't
like, yeah, you had to go, like,
through
in a
the
certain
story.
direction. Yeah.
Yeah.
I kinda, like I dislike that, and I like it at the same time, though, because, like, I'm in it to play the story, you know, to experience the story, and I get way, way too distracted with, like, open world games.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like me as a kid playing an open world game, another top contender for my favorite game is Skyrim.
Nice.
I feel like if they came out with like Skyrim as often as they did with like, or like if they came out with Elder Scrolls as often as they came out with other games that like, maybe the Uncharted's, Tomb Raider, I I would sink so much time into them, and it would be a lot. Um, but I really like the Tomb Raider games because, like you said, like a lot of the cutscenes felt like it was just like a movie, watching a movie.
Yeah.
And it being linear was really important to how the game felt. Because you also got like obvious power spikes or like obvious like equipment that you could start to use that you like needed to unlock this extra area, or you could
Yeah.
go back to an area and like and use that item. Um, yeah, definitely couldn't handle a lot of open world games when I was in the peak PS3 days.
I mean,
Um, I
I didn't
kind
get
of liked Tomb Raider in the fact that like it almost felt like an open world, but it wasn't an
Mhm.
open world kind of, you know.
Exactly, yeah.
I
The new
played
Tomb Raiders are so good.
yeah, I played the newest one.
Did you not play the other ones before that?
I played like the first one.
Like the very first one or like the
Yeah, like
first of the new ones?
no, like the very first one and the new one too.
Oh, okay. Okay. Cuz I think I've played all what is there 3 Tomb Raiders right
The
now?
3 of the new reboots, yeah.
Yeah. I played all 3 of those.
Name
I
what they're
was
called.
Shadow of the Tomb Raider,
Rise,
Rise of the Tomb Raider, and
and just
then
Tomb Raider, I
Tomb
think.
Raider. Yeah,
Yeah,
probably.
I'm not sure which one I have then though, because the reason why I played it is because it was free.
Oh,
That was
um,
probably the second one.
snowy or Snowy Mountain or like jungle.
It was a jungly area.
Might have been the first one.
I can see
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
I haven't played the third one though.
Oh, the third one is so good. I just played it
Oh,
not recently, but like semi recently.
I'm like halfway through the second one, so I'm like I know what happens, but like I want to finish that before I move on.
That's fair. That's fair. I wanted to try to beat when I was streaming. I wanted to sit down and play like the entirety of Uncharted 1 in one sitting, and then the next stream do like the entirety of Uncharted 2.
Mhm.
But those games get excessive. Like even on easy, it's like 10 hours.
Jesus.
There's a
Even if
lot of
like,
story.
yeah, and it would take me longer because I play games like really slow.
Well, yeah, and there's like extra stuff you can find and everything like that. I will be real. I play games for the enjoyment of playing the game and not for like the challenge, I guess. Because when games start getting like too hard, I am not about it. Like I enjoy a little bit of a challenge, but like if I'm what was it? I played Elden Ring for a little while,
Ooh.
and it was just like same fight over and over. Um and the only time that I ever really enjoyed that game was when like I could summon my friends and they would play with me. Uh and then I was like, wow, this isn't very hard, like I have my OP friends here. Like now I'm just playing for fun.
Mhm.
Um but I can say that I put a lot of hours into Elden Ring and I have not beaten it.
Yeah, no, I remember when you got that. I really wanted to get it.
I
I
also have the exact same um thoughts about Elden Ring.
Yeah.
I too have just like gotten burnt out and I've not gone very far with it.
Oh, you've played it before though?
Yeah, and I mean I still have it. I have never beat it.
I need to get it, guys. But maybe that'll be fun to play
Well, I
again.
think they are adding. Last I heard, they're adding. I don't know if they're actually integrating it with the game or if it's a mod, but originally, when you did multiplayer, like you could go to a. Like you would have to summon those people to your world,
Yeah.
and then if they died, they went back to theirs. And then if you beat a boss fight, they went back to theirs.
Oh,
Um,
interesting.
but I think they're adding like full on multiplayer where you guys are in the same world. You can fight the same bosses, everything like that. Like it's no longer that person getting sent back, or they're not a ghost anymore. It's legitimate multiplayer.
Nice.
Nice.
I would be into that. And what is the what's the next question, guys?
Ah, yes. So seeing as we are all in the wedding industry, I suppose that uh, and considering this podcast is named "Shut Up and Let Me Take Your Picture," we should talk, something about photography and videography and all that good stuff. Um, so what I wanted to talk about was social media. And I have a very love-hate relationship with social media and like advertising for your company business. Advertising for your business. And how do you guys feel about that? How do you guys feel about social media and like having to post all the time and all that good stuff?
Gosh, so much effort, guys. Do you love it, Max?
I actually don't rely on it at the moment.
Oh yes.
I actually had a couple of people who like reached out because I've been very word of mouth. And I've been not super great with my photography Instagram. And
Okay.
I've had someone ask me, "Hey, can I see your photography Instagram?" And then, and this is for like a wedding. I'm like, I have like zero wedding photos. And zero. Like I have like I think I have my wedding video maybe as a reel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, and then and they were just like, oh, honestly, I just want to see like what kind of art like vibe you go for. And I was like, okay, cool. I just, look at these other videos, like the whole videos that I can share with you, and the reel, like the highlight reel that I can show you. This is like the important stuff because this is what you're gonna get. And then they're like, oh, honestly, like we still liked your Instagram. I mean, I was just curious. I'm like, yeah, cool, cool. But definitely have been thinking like I should probably make it a little more uh business ready.
That's fair. It's a really I had to go in. I think I've reformatted my Instagram like 2 different times. Like went in, deleted everything, and then like started re-adding stuff.
That's
Mhm.
fun.
And it's I finally settled like on a style that I liked, but I think deciding on a style was one of the hardest things for me. Um because like I'm slowly establishing like my style of photography, and so like matching styles and everything with what I do have um was one of the hardest parts for me so far.
And I feel like it's gonna progressively change regardless to like over time,
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
uh, but
that's always
I
thing.
I enjoy posting on social media because seeing a picture I post with some likes on it is pretty cool. Um, and getting the feedback and everything, and having something to actually like show people when they ask me, um, is really cool. But like keeping up with it and posting, I'm really really bad about.
So yeah, it's really hard to keep up with you know, in general. I feel like it's honestly like strenuous and straining too because it's like you have to go out of your way to think of the perfect like hashtag and the perfect thing to post that's going to get you the most views for the amount of time you spent posting, and like that alone is stressful. And then when your engagement is low, then it's like, okay, what did I do wrong? you
Mhm.
know so um it's I would say it's a love-hate relationship, but it's more like a hate-hate relationship for me. uh like as we're like making a podcast that's gonna go on social media to like boost our business, like I it's one of those things where like instant gratification feels great, but at the same time that it's like impacting you in a way that isn't like great for yourself mentally. Sometimes you're like, yeah, I love when people put like love my shit, but at the same time it's like why do I need that gratification? And like, yeah, to a certain extent, but like we need it instantly, and so like I feel like that's what social media is most of the time.
Kind of
Mhm.
like that instant gratification. Yeah, and it could go both ways because like for me, when I post something, especially like work that I have that I'm like really proud of, and then I post it, and then like nobody likes it, or like nobody does the double tap, or sharing it or anything like that. Not that I really expect people to share my stuff, but um when the interaction is really low, I'm like, oh man, do
Like,
people not like the work that I put into this? Like, I don't understand.
yeah, it's like,
Oh.
do they hate me? Oh, my camera died.
Nice.
Yeah.
I've been thinking about this the other day too. Like, how often do you go on Instagram and just like double tap your feed? Because like I realized, on my personal Instagram, actually, I was like thirsting for likes. Like I was like, oh, I'm gonna post like Monday morning just so I can get the most likes because like I want people to know that this is what's going on in my life, right? That's
Yeah.
what social media is for. And then I started thinking like, oh, okay, I would get like X amount of likes, and I would like, oh, like I would get 300 today and 200 on this other post, and I thought like, why am I like so strung about this number that like I don't even like a 300 posts other people's posts in a year, like.
Yeah.
And I'm like thinking like, oh, you know what? Maybe like that's a big part of imposter syndrome. Like you never really think, well, I mean, I like people's content and I forget to double tap it a lot of the time.
That's one
So
of the things that I've been trying to work on, especially is like off of my photography Instagram is liking other creators, like their work and like
Yeah.
other photographers, because I don't know. I realized that I did that too. That I would like
Mhm.
scroll through, I just be like, "Oh, that's cool. Like, I like that," but then I would never actually like it. And then I
Well,
realized that people are doing the same thing as me.
so yeah, that's kind of how the algorithm works actually. So like you go through and you like people's stuff, and so basically, uh, I was gonna say they, and when you do that, the algorithm like favors your stuff at that point. So like actually like when you're going through and engaging with other people, then the algorithm actually kind of pushes your own content, if
Yeah.
that makes sense.
You know what's in social media? I don't know if we're done talking about Instagram, and we can always go back. You know what's in social media that I've really started liking
Hmm.
Oh yeah, what?
is Be Real. And actually, the time for my Be Real has popped, and I'm going to give you guys a quick little deuces.
Wait, isn't
Are
this
you being
the
real right now?
I am being real. It's within the 2 minutes.
isn't wait, is Be Real the one that you can only post like at a certain point of the day?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Well,
Um,
you don't have to post during that 2 minute window. But if you don't post during that 2 minute window and like you're doing something really fun, it's like you're not being really real right now. Um there have been a lot of times, like actually, I think when I first downloaded this app when I went to Disney, there were a lot of times that I would like not post because I wanted to be in the Disney park and post my Be Real there. And I was
yeah.
okay. People like I think it's fine. I think imposter syndrome doesn't apply to Disney World. It's not like I go more than once every 10 years, right? Like they know I have nothing else going on at 11 p.m. that night, but
Yeah.
8 a.m. the next morning, I'm at Disney. You know, it's not like one of those, I don't think that's a big deal. But there's a lot of people who, like, they don't put on makeup. I think it's a big thing. I think, like, your self image is big because, so what this does, for people who don't know about the app, there's a 2 minute window every single day. It's random. It pops for everybody around the world. And actually, I don't know if it's around the world. It might be in like similar time zones, or maybe in like North America focused.
Yeah.
And you post a photo during that time, send it to your friends, and then your friends can react to it. And you can react with your own face, which is really awesome because instead of sending emojis as reactions, it's a face that you can send, and you can like pre-save your faces as different emojis, as like the heart eyes emoji, the smile emoji, that kind of stuff.
Cool.
But a cool thing about it is when you take the photo, it does both sides of the camera. So it takes the forward facing camera. So I just took a photo of what I see on my screen, which is the game and the streaming setup, and then it takes the front facing camera, which is a selfie of me. So it's really cool because it kind of forces you to, even if you're not looking the greatest that day, you're not dressed up, you didn't put on your makeup. I didn't put on my makeup today. Then you get to see, the real side of a lot of people. And it's one
We're
of those like
seeing real man.
yeah, right. You're seeing real Max. I did do my hair though because I knew I was going to be on this podcast. And the lighting is pretty good, but it popped in the middle of the podcast, which is what I was really hoping for, and what a great time for it to pop while we're talking about social media. Do I think it's going to replace photography social medias? Not whatsoever. Will it be like a great addition? I think it's one of the best social medias to come out in recent years.
I think I would miss them. Like every time I would be like paying too much attention to everything else.
hmm I think because I have do not disturb on for a lot of my day. I think it bypasses your do not disturb. I think it like sends it as it's like an time sensitive. You know what I mean? Like when someone like calling you and they call you 3 times and it like, bypasses your do not disturb. I think
Yeah.
B-Real does that, and it's really funny because I'll be working and then like I'll just hear this notification on my phone. I'll be like, oh, it's time for me to be real, and it's just like usually, honestly, I was on the shitter 2 times in a row, and that was probably my favorite week of Be Real. And people in my
Wow.
comments were like, Max, this is too real. I'm like, it's the point of the app, guys. Come
It's
on.
Be Real, yo. You take a picture of your face and your pants down.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like I appreciate it, but I feel like I would if it popped like during like my anxiety induced editing spree, I would be like, no. you know?
hmm And like you
Fair though,
can
because
post
you
late.
can say no. Yeah.
Yeah, you can post late. And I think like if you post like within 30 minutes, most people are like, you yourself know that you wouldn't be posting like, something 30 minutes late if you were doing something extravagant or non-extravagant, right? Like it's still pretty real, you can tell. And it's a nice community of people because not a lot of people have gotten on it. So it's one of those like little hidden things that like you meet up with one of your friends and you're like, hey, oh, you're one of the Be Realers that like I see every day on Be Real. And then there's like some people who aren't on it yet, so they don't know like the excitement of a
They
good
just
Be
don't
Real
know.
pop. Yeah.
You know
Nice.
what? I am gonna download
I
Be
hope to be
Real
your
right
first
now.
friend.
Be Real, if you wanna, if you wanna sponsor us, that'd be pretty cool.
Wow.
I'm just I'm downloading your app right now, Be Real. Hang on. Be Oh, cool. It was one of the first ones that came up. Be Real. Your friends for I'm actually kind of curious to see like how many of my friends are actually on this. Because finding new social media platforms has never been like something that I've done and or strived for. Um, Seeing as I didn't have a TikTok until 6 months ago, maybe 8 months
Really?
ago, something like that. Yeah.
Same.
I just I just never really saw the use for it. And so I downloaded it and I'm so upset that I didn't get like into the TikTok game earlier, especially as like a content creator and stuff like that. Um
Right.
in that like it's one of those things that the people who got on there early are the people who have the most followers and the most likes and their name is just out there.
I get what you're saying, but at the same time, you could totally get to that point. You just have to post more frequently and often.
Yeah, but that's see, that's the problem.
I
I mentioned that I'm
know.
just really bad at social media.
Are you bad
Um,
at it or do you just not enjoy it?
I mean, I enjoy it because like I'm one of those people that once I do get motivated, like I start going.
Yeah.
Like once I make the first video, like more ideas pop into my head. Um, but for me, it's also the motivation of getting up and making, that first video. um, and figuring out what I'm gonna post next. And it's I think it'll help now because what I was doing at a point is I was really stretching myself thin with I was trying to manage like my personal Instagram and my photography Instagram and my DJ Instagram and my streaming Instagram. Not to mention I had a DJ TikTok, I had a photography TikTok. Um, And I think that really, really burnt me out because I wasn't just picking one thing to focus on.
No, that makes sense. Yeah, that's a lot of stuff to
That's
just
yeah.
go in at once.
So it was not a wise decision on my part, but I think like as I've dwindled down, now I'm only on like photography and DJ stuff, but it's still hard to like pick one,
Mhm.
you know, and to focus on it. And it's just like it's tough for me right now because my like DJing currently makes me the most money, but photography is what I want to do and could make me more money. So I'm stuck in that like tough in between of like what I'm doing right now that's working really well and what I want to do, you know?
So, but like for DJing, do you have to post on your social media to get like leads and stuff? Or is it just kind of
It's less about leads and more about people being able to like see what I do.
uh
Like that when I DJ somebody's wedding, like everybody's jumping up and down and screaming, or that, I'm hyping everybody up on the microphone or something like that. And it's always like it's 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 also tough for me because I always like I never want to be that guy that's like got their phone out, like I know people that have I don't want to say no shame on social media, but like they're just good, like putting the selfie cam on and they're just like jumping up and down with everybody with the selfie cam on and stuff like that. And I just like, I'm not that person, and it feels really weird, like to do
No,
that.
no, I get that.
But I know that you mentioned like where like posting for leads and stuff, and that kind of leads me into, you get it? It kind of leads me into, I'm just kidding. Sorry, that was terrible.
That
Um
was that funny?
it was punny. It was punny. That kind of leads me into like, what do you do and where do you get most of your leads from? Or like, what do you do to get leads? Um and Jared, this question is
For
because I
Max?
know Max talked mostly about word of mouth. What do you do to get leads, Jared?
So right now I'm not doing a lot of advertising for my wedding stuff. And honestly, as far as social media goes, I only post on Facebook for my social media for weddings after a wedding has been shot.
Yeah.
So like a few days after the wedding's been photographed, I'll post a sneak peek on my Facebook page. So this will drive traffic from like the client who's like excited to see their photos, and they'll tag their friends and family and stuff like that. And so that'll drive traffic that way, right?
Yeah.
Um And so there's for that, and then for Instagram for weddings, I will occasionally I'll post something that I really like on there. And I always post in threes. So if the wedding I shot isn't something that I think would do well on like a three, like three squares across, because it would be the
Yeah.
same couple, three squares across. If I don't really enjoy it enough to put it three squares across, I won't really post it. Not that it's a bad wedding or anything like that, but I want it to fit my brand image. So like if the wedding was shot somewhere that doesn't fit in my brand image, I don't really want to post it. Not that it's a bad wedding, it's just, or maybe I've shot at the same location too many times, and so I won't post, I won't post that either, because
Yeah.
that's just too many of the same thing. Um and so yeah, and so where most of the leads are coming from with me posting so like little is actually venues. So like every venue that I've been at, I've tried to make connections with like the people that work there
Hmm.
and the people that like host the events and stuff like that. And so when I get a lead, it's typically from that or like Google, because like Google in like when you search up my business and you're searching within a certain area, mine will actually show up at the top of the list just because um it fits in Google's algorithm. So like relevancy, location, reviews, and then like how what your website operates are all pieces of relevancy for Google to bring you up in the search engine. And like how
SEO, baby.
yeah, so how often people are doing that too. Um yeah, but that's for that. And then for like the boudoir stuff, basically all I'm doing for that is I post a lot more because like I think people want to see more of the work. It's harder to it's less word of mouthy because it's not like I have a business kind of pushing my work. By the way, I couldn't find another battery for my camera, so we're just gonna go with my
Nice.
ancient like multicolored screen.
Dude, it's a vibe.
Yeah.
Jared doesn't need to show his face. All he needs is his voluptuous voice.
Okay. Yeah, so I post a lot for the boudoir stuff. So I'll post typically once a week for the most part. Just to get some stuff out there, and then I'll like ask questions and things like that in my story, and I'll post in the story. Um and basically the more engagement I have, the more people come to like look at my page, the more people share my page to their
Yeah.
friends, and the more bookings happen. So mostly Instagram, occasionally some TikTok for that. I don't really think Facebook's doing me anything for that. And I think like Google again, like some hardcore Google searches are going on here.
Yeah. I just like, Facebook for me died a long time ago, and I just like, I linked my Instagram to my Facebook so that Like if people happen to search me on Facebook, you'll see some of my recent work because it automatically posts to Facebook as well.
Yeah.
But it's not something that I would ever be like, oh, gotta post on Facebook, you know?
Yeah. Exactly. So it's pretty rare that I post on Facebook either because of the same, reason.
Yeah.
'Cause it just kind of died out,
I looked into branching out of my word of mouth style of spreading the word. And actually, Reddit has been a surprisingly high amount of people that just like post in like local communities, that
Yeah.
just like post for photographers, or like I'll post, hey, like I'm doing graduation photos, and like tons of people are just lurking on Reddit, and I find that a lot of like people who are on Reddit are also kind of like-minded, and
Yeah.
in the sense that they're a little bit ahead of, um, like it took a while for people to start like realizing that like, oh, doing free things for exposure is like not a thing anymore, or at least it's not really like as accepted, and it's harder to bring up. So yeah, like the people on Reddit, like usually they're like, hey, like I know you're gonna want to get paid for this. Like there's no one being like, oh, I thought this was for free. Like where I
Yeah.
think that used to be the case.
I honestly still to this day, I have no idea what Reddit really is or what it's for. It's just like
Did you read it?
read what?
Reddit.
Oh my god. Shut up, Jarrett.
Okay. Are you
But
gonna take a picture?
since your picture's already gone, um, so like Reddit is just what is Reddit? Break down Reddit for me. This makes
Reddit's
me
like
seem old,
a
but
forum. It's very forum based, so you will have like communities, and then you'll have in the community you'll have like threads, and then in each thread you'll have like posts, and then you could reply to posts.
cool.
There's some really big communities out there in Reddit, like Am I the Asshole? Um, there was like the big stock, the big crypto stock explosion thing that happened with GameStop, if you remember that,
I
at
do
some
remember that,
mid part
yeah.
of the pandemic. There's like relationship advice. There's some like not so good communities. I think there were a couple communities that got banned, for example, as internet will happen, right? Internet will happen no matter where you go on the internet.
Yeah,
There was like a big incel community. I think it was called like Red Pill or something.
interesting.
Um, they might have it back up, but they might have like different moderators that like oversee the things that people talk about. Yeah, so there's also a lot of community ones that are like actual communities. So in the Ann Arbor subreddit, I'll hop in there every now and then and I'll kind of see, hey, looking for a wedding videographer. Hey, looking for a wedding photographer. Anyone know anyone? I'm like, hey, I know someone.
Hey, that's
So
me.
I actually got one of those jobs and it's booked and it's in the contracts and it's going to be happening next month. That was actually the
That's so
engagement shoot
cool.
that I did. They liked my work so much. They were like, hey, do our engagement shoot as well. And it's an awesome story of the internet being good,
That's really cool because I never would have expected that like from Reddit, you
right?
know? Um, so I know you mentioned this earlier, and I know that Jared's probably about to vent. But what do you guys feel about the knot?
Jared, do you want me to go first? Because I feel like you might want to riff off of
Well, yeah. What are you gonna
this
say
whole
about it?
thing. I am not a wedding videographer or photographer primarily. That is not my main source of income. However, I did consider it being a very serious secondary source of income. So I thought maybe I go branch out. Maybe I look at the knot. Um, I went to their website. I wanted some pricing, and they don't give you the pricing. They give you a sign up link for info. And in that sign up link, you give, I think, your phone number or email or something. I think you make an account with your email. And I got an email being like, hey, here's a Zoom link. We're going to call you at like 9 a.m. tomorrow. We're going to pitch you, like, blah, 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 blah. And they were like, how many weddings do you do per year? How much do you charge per wedding? I'm like, okay, this is immediately like a little much.
Yeah,
And then the lady on the end of the line was like, okay, so if you're making this much off of your weddings per year, if we could increase the number of weddings you get to this many per year, you could afford this much. You could afford to pay the knot this much for getting you that many more weddings. And I was like, what the
What?
fuck kind of like business? Well, it felt almost scammy. And I know
Yeah.
a lot of people who were like legacied in maybe before the knot was like this, and they were legacied in. And I asked, I was like, hey, like I have heard of a lot of people like really enjoying the knot, and like I don't think they're paying this price for your services. And they're just like, oh, they might have just been grandfathered in or legacied in. Like, okay, that might make sense, but yeah, I did not return a call, and I kind of had to rethink the whole. I ended up going Reddit. That's what happened. Sure.
Nice.
Let me tell you what.
Tell me
I,
what.
What
I
a
wish you
start.
could see my face right now. Okay, so one thing they do is spam call you, and that's always been a thing. They'll always call you and be like, "Hey," because like they make a commission on whatever they sell. I assume it makes sense. The way that they push it, that's the only thing that makes sense, right?
Hmm.
Okay, so the knot used to be separate from Wedding Wire. Wedding Wire absorbed the knot in like
Okay.
2018, I believe. And so ever since then, things have changed drastically with the company. Um, so let me kind of like backtrack a little bit. When I first started using the knot, I don't know what I paid, but then they came out with this thing where they would rotate the top 5 or 10 spots,
Yes.
and I used to be in that rotation. So
Cool.
so basically you would rotate between the first 2 pages, or you could pay a lot of money and rotate on those top 10 spots. And if you wanted to pay less, you could rotate on page 2, 3, 4, whatever. Whatever they did. So like they don't the placement doesn't stick every time. They rotate everybody on
Yeah.
random. So I'm gonna shock you with numbers here, but the top spots used to be 10 Gs a year. The top 10 spots.
Yeah.
So
Jesus.
yeah, so it was like, a little roughly under 1,000 a month. Well, I
What
can't
the
do math,
fuck?
so, Yeah, so I used to pay $10,000 for that, and it was worth it because basically what was coming in was, like, if I booked 3 weddings, it was paying for itself, and then I would book more off of that, right? And
Yeah.
so whatever algorithm they were using at the time was working really well because people would be like, "I found you on the knot, blah, 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 let's meet," and then, like, I would book a wedding from it, right?
Yeah.
Until they sold out, right? Before I get to that point, I wanna tell you some of the perks of being, like, on the knot, being in the top spot, and actually communicating with people that worked at that company at the time. Well, they had an event, I forget how much it was a couple $100 to go to, where they kinda, like, sat us down with a bunch of other people and were like, "These are the top wedding industry people, and we're gonna teach you how to use Instagram, we're gonna teach you how to, like, book more weddings." And they're like, "Hey, Jarrett, you wanna go? We have some tickets for free. You wanna go?" I'm like, "Sure." So, being in that top spot and being, like, connected, like, with, like, the people in the knot at the time, like, that was working out really well for me. I
Yeah.
even got invited to, like, a private dinner where they, like, bought me dinner.
Whoa.
Pretty nice dinner.
Yeah.
Um, and they're like, "Hey, what can we do to make it better? Like, what can we do to, like, help you guys out? Like, make the knot better, make you guys book you more stuff." Right, okay, so then that all changed when Wedding Wire absorbed them, right? F that shit. But, it's okay, so, Wedding Wire absorbed them, and then, like, everything went to heck, and so, basically, like, I stopped really receiving leads, and everything I received seemed really fake, right?
Yeah.
And then here's the kicker, what I found out. I quit it, and then a couple years later, I find out that, dude, I find out that when somebody finds you in the top 10 spots, they click on your specifics page, and they're not, like, looking like, it's like, "Hey, I'm just gonna pop over here, and the first 3 people I see are the people I like. I'm gonna click on their page, and I'm only gonna send out 2 emails." And you're like, "Yeah, it's a 50-50 shot whether I get booked or not, right?" No.
Yeah.
So what the knot does now is whenever I click on that person, they then say, "Would you like to send a replica email to some of our other vendors that are very similar style?"
What?
So yeah, so I might have been paying 10 grand for the top spot, but it doesn't matter because everybody else is getting an email too, no matter
Yeah,
what spot they're in.
that. Oh, okay, that's
So why
interesting.
am I paying $10,000 to be in that top spot when I could pay like $4,000 to rotate and still get the same email?
That's
You know
weird.
what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah. So yeah, so it's kind of shitty. The way they operate and the way they called Max and stuff like that, that does happen and it sucks. And so I just like I don't understand what happened with the company and why they operate that way
yeah.
because it's like really unfair for somebody to paying those prices and then also receiving that kind of like treatment, you know?
Like, yeah. Oh, you're paying us a lot of money, but also we're sending that business to somebody else,
Yeah, we're
kind
just gonna
of.
send your leads. And some of the leads feel fake. It'll be like, we're interested in booking right now. We your work is to die for. Our friends referred you, and we also found you on the knot. And your prices are in reasonable range, and you look really cool.
Yeah,
And then you get no response.
weird.
It's like,
Yeah.
how am I all these things, but then you don't even give me the time of day to say, hey, we decided to go elsewhere with our money and book somebody else.
Yeah, that's something that I have run into before, and it's a weird thing. Like, I don't know if people feel like it's gonna, break my heart if they booked with someone else or something like that. But like, I would much rather hear, "Hey, we decided to go with someone else," than be stuck attempting to, you know, well, are they gonna respond? Like, are they not gonna respond? Like, what's going on?
Yeah. No, it gets really stressful, right? When you're like wondering if they're gonna book or not book, and you just want to know. You just want
Yeah.
to.
I want to know. I would much rather have you say no. Then I
Yeah,
can be like, all right, cool.
cool. Now I can engage with this other client.
That is just a weird situation, especially with like reaching out to like the knot. Like, it doesn't seem like it'd be too complicated. Just like, hey, advertise on our website, blah blah blah. But then for them to be like, no, we're gonna do like a full consultation call with you about like how much you make per year, and
Yeah, it's just a way for them to kind of like lead you into to booking with them, paying.
oh, okay,
Yeah,
like
because like
paying their prices.
yeah, because basically what they're doing is there's actually a range on what they can charge you. And so they don't tell you that, but basically like if they say the top like the bottom dollar to pay for $60 a month, really what they're lying to you because they could probably charge you like $30, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um
I felt that immediately when they one had enough money to book people or to have someone who just does consultations. I feel like that's like if you have like a much more set payment plan that everybody's on, you don't need someone to be doing this person's job. And
exactly.
also, that person ended up. I think also the representative I had was just like extra scummy. I think anyone else telling me this information could have been fine. Jarrett, you telling me this information actually could have been a little bit more better. But this person was like, "Hey, if you book like this is like, oh, we call it the love at first sight thing," which I was like, "Oh, that's clever. I hate you." They were like, "Love at first sight. If you before we hang up this call, book with or get with the knot, your first year will be 50% off." And I'm like, cool. So you can afford for me to think about it for a week and then
Oh
book it at
yeah.
50%. Like
Yeah.
that's one of the things I hate the most.
Yeah,
And
it should be it's either the price it is or it isn't.
exactly, right? And like how could you be that drastic? And I can't get back to you the next like at the end or the beginning of next week. And then she was like, "Oh yeah, and also there's like Labor Day pricing." And I'm like, "Pick one." Like
Yeah.
Can I have both?
yeah, like, can I have both? And she's like, yeah, you can have both, but you have to do it by tonight. Otherwise, by the next week, you only have the Labor Day like sale, and then by the 2 weeks after that, you're paying full price. And it's like, but it's not full price, is it? It's like twice the price. But anyways, I
Yeah.
think I think like there's a way of that's a business model for sure, and they need to make their money just like we do. I think a big part of it is displaying it in a way that doesn't seem scummy, and
Yeah.
I think that rep just really made it seem scummy.
Yeah, no, I agree. They really need to figure out a way to not To
Yeah.
not be the not
Yeah.
that
But
way.
not. Can you just not?
Yeah, could you just
Can
not?
you just
Thanks.
not, please? Be great.
Um, but yeah, yeah, they have to make money, but yeah, agreed. The way they're doing it isn't the right method to do it, and so hopefully they stop doing that. But
Mhm.
not likely. But I've known people to quit because of it. But
Um, what kind of gear do you guys use for editing photos? I've been using my iPad, but I have one feature which is lens calibration that is not on the iPad
Oh,
Lightroom yet,
weird.
and I really like lens calibration. It's such an easy way for me to do color.
wait, for
Yeah.
what? What are you doing
Sorry.
lens calibration for?
On Lightroom for my photos.
He's for
Oh, to flatten
calibrating
it out,
lenses.
to
Yeah.
flatten it out and shit.
Mostly, I think what I do is I do something to the blue or the green because I try to get like a more like orange and teal look.
Cool.
Um,
Are you trying to
and so
say
easier for
that
me to
you like color correct in what is it called? Not color correct.
color grade.
Yeah, your color grading.
I'm using lens correction to color grade.
Nice.
Nice. That's
But
the
also I
future.
think it's just like I think it's also just a Sony thing. You know, maybe the colors don't come out like in the Sony color into Adobe as much as I would like, and I just do a small lens correction. I do other color grading in the actual HSL sliders and all that good stuff. But
Yeah,
so Lightroom on my iPad, and I also have my big PC that I now use. That's also I only edit video on a PC. I refuse to do it on my iPad.
that's fair.
Um, what do you guys use? Are you guys on Mac, PC, Lightroom? You know, what's the
So
specs?
I have I
Uh,
am very not Mac proficient. If you put me in front of a Mac computer, I really, really do not know how to run it. I've gotten better here and there, but for the most part, yep, I just cannot use a Mac.
Hmm.
Um, but so I have a Windows PC. It's a self-built PC.
yeah, same.
Shout out to Bryce, who was in the other podcast, for helping me build it. So I have that. I think it's got like 16 gigs of RAM in it. I really need to upgrade my RAM. Um, Midline GPU, everything like that. If I try to edit too much in like Premiere, it is not happy. But the reason I think it's not happy is because I have a 32-inch monitor that I edit on. And it's 2560 by 1440. So it I've figured out that if I switch that monitor to 1920 by 1080, Premiere runs just fine.
Really
Yeah,
Um, but if I try to run it in the 2560 by 1440, like it freaks out.
doesn't like it at
Yeah,
all.
no, stuff will just not function correctly, and it's a big old mess. Um, but yeah, so I have a 32-inch monitor, and then I think a 27-inch second monitor. That's what I do most of my editing on, since I don't have an iPad or anything like that. Um, so yeah, normally I'm just oh god, you scared me. I'm just chilling in my chair. My PC is also set up for like video game streaming for the most part. Um, so that's mostly my setup. There's a lot of RGB,
mm,
because I'm cool.
sure. How about you? Are you
W-
full of RGB?
I don't have I actually have a little bit of RGB in my thing. Like my fan is RGB, that my cooling fan is RGB, and like my graphics card is RGB, but there's nothing else. There's just those two things.
Mm,
Um, the cooling fan I had to get because my shit kind of overheats a lot. I don't know why, but the cooling fan was necessary to like get it to stop over. I don't know. The case is not very vented, I guess.
Do you have a cool gaming PC, Max?
I did. I built it for both video editing and gaming, which luckily GPU and CPU processing power are both highly needed for both. And
Yeah.
RAM was kind of cheap at that time, you know, because of
Cool.
all the things you couldn't get. You couldn't get a GPU. It was hard to find a CPU. but it was easy to find RAM. And so I think I have only 32 gigabytes of RAM, which like is
Only.
enough for me right now. I would love to move up to 64 gigabytes, which is nice because I have the two sticks of
Yeah.
what 16 each, so that I could just get two more sticks and I could put them in. Yeah, I was lucky enough to get a retail 30 series GPU.
Cool.
The new NVIDIA 30 series. I think I got a 3070 for retail price.
Nice.
Um, and yeah, so I built that myself. That was really exciting. I really enjoyed the process of that, and I would love to do it again. I would love to do it for people. I've offered to do it for my friends. Uh,
When I built mine, I definitely had help, and I would never try to build on my own, in all honesty, because it is just it's it's scary, man. The first time that we built my computer, it didn't post actually
oh,
when we launched it. Yeah. So we spent like it was supposed to be like maybe like a 2-3 hour build, and it ended up being like an 8 hour build.
are you guys both on Lightroom for editing photos, or is there a different tip that I need to be on?
So I do edit in Lightroom. Um, for the longest time, I was editing in Photoshop. I was being a big old dummy,
Hmm.
and I only edited in Photoshop. So I edited an entire wedding in Photoshop, like going through, opening up like 10 photos at a time in Photoshop, editing, and then exporting the edited photos like into a separate folder.
Yeah,
Did that for such a long time until I sat down and I had a conversation with another photographer, and they were like, "Yeah, I just like you're using Lightroom, right?" And I was like, "No, I use Photoshop." And she's like, "What?
yeah,
You edit weddings in Photoshop?" And I was like, "Yeah, I like it." And she was the one who finally convinced me to get Lightroom. And once I did, like I can edit so much faster now. I can do like bulk edits, kind of, like
yeah,
copy paste a lot of your settings over and then do like the small tweaks.
yeah,
Um, and so that saved so much time, and I enjoy just being able to like I can upload to my galleries directly from Lightroom. Um, and so Lightroom has been the way to go for me. Now, video, I like Premiere, but I've heard there's some better programs, or at least maybe like easier to use programs,
hmm
I guess. I don't really know.
I know Final Cut Pro and DaVinci are both big rivals, big competitors in the market right now. I
Yeah.
think Lightroom is unbeatable. I don't think there's a single thing out there that's really. I mean, I don't know. That's why I'm
What?
asking you guys.
Wait,
'Cause
what
I
are you looking?
was
What was the question? Is there something similar to Lightroom?
more just like, what do you guys use? Because I
Uh,
like Daniel. I was the same with you. I started off on Photoshop because like when you grow up, you're like, oh yeah, Photoshop this, Photoshop that. Yeah, you can fix that in Photoshop.
Yeah, you always hear
Yeah.
Photoshop.
And I learned Photoshop in high school. So I like took what I knew and I was like I did that for like a 300 photo nightclub photography, like one my first ever paid project.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, this is crazy. I remember thinking I was so smart because I learned the batch edit feature and I was like,
Yeah.
cool, but it's nothing like Lightroom because you can't just go back and forth and be like, okay, cool, well, I'm gonna batch edit it and then tweak a couple things. Like you applied one thing to
Yeah.
everything. And then I don't remember what it was that got me into Lightroom, but thank God it did because it is the bread and butter, right?
Yeah. Oh
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, so I guess Photo Mechanic is similar to Lightroom, but I haven't used it. And the funny thing about Photoshop is was your first copy also a pirated copy?
No.
It wasn't?
No, I paid for it.
Oh, it was yours, Max?
So I started on I started learning Photoshop in high school because it was like a class you could take,
Which
and
which which one was it?
I think it
Or-
was CS5 or CS3.
Oh, but
Is
you
very
were
old.
yeah, so it's not that old because you're saying CS like Creative Suite, not like original.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Okay, so I think the first one I used was 7, but like 7 before CS existed.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And then they came out with Creative Cloud, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I was on CS3, and then when Creative Cloud came out, I couldn't find a way to buy CS3. Not I had the money as a high school student, and I wanted to do projects at home instead of having to go to school and doing it. So
Yeah.
I yeah, I found a couple of CS3 online. So
Nice.
yeah,
Yeah. Pirate Bay.
Yeah.
No
yeah. I
one.
was about to say that's where you go. You know.
Not anymore, but yeah.
Used to be back in the
Yeah.
day.
Back in my day. Back in my day, spent it in the bay. What was the next topic?
Um. Yes. Yes, it's one of the topics that we missed last time, and that is go-to wedding food.
So are we talking about before the wedding or
I
during
think
the wedding?
I think
Both?
we could both. Yeah.
Pickles is a really good go-to.
Pickles.
Yeah, pickles.
Jared, I found an odachi. Do you
A
want an
what?
odachi?
Why
A
does it sound
sword.
familiar?
It's like a samurai sword.
I also have an Odachi.
Wait, like the short one?
No, it's like a
Yeah.
long one.
Oh, it's like